So, the truth is, while I played a decent amount of Sonic 1 and Sonic 2 for the Genesis, I never actually played much of Sonic 3 or Knuckles. Oh, I played both separately and together, but either lack of confidence or something, I never really got far into either Sonic 3 or Sonic and Knuckles. Remember, with me living in a small town and only being able to have one console at a time, I only played Sonic with friends and other family members until the GameCube days. However, I was still somewhat familiar with the game, enough to know the very interesting history of the game anyway. Sonic 2 was a rushed product. As good as it was rushed, but sold well enough, so Sega promised that Sonic 3 would have plenty of time to be made. And then McDonald's, yes, the golden arched fast food restaurant, came in waving around some money for a toy deal, but they needed a game to come out with it. Suddenly, the game was once again rushed, and Sonic 3 suddenly had to be split into two games, one called Sonic 3 and the other one called Sonic and Knuckles. However, the games are supposed to be played together. How could they sell two separate games that were supposed to be, the same game? Time for a live demonstration because I happen to own the original carts for these games. Ladies and gents, this is the lock-on adapter. When you combine this cart with Sonic 3 cartridge, this allows you to play the full game, now called Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which is what we're playing today. If you combine it with Sonic 2, you can even play as Knuckles, a feature missing in a lot of re-releases, in Sonic 2. Thankfully, the newest release of these games, the Sonic Origins Collection, allows you to play as both of these. Yeah, Knuckles and Sonic 2. And the complete Sonic 3 and Knuckles package is right here. I hear there's some issues with these versions, but I haven't seen too many personally. Also, the version of Sonic 1 I wanted to see released that was on the phone version, I was complaining about it in my review of Sonic 1. It's here too, along with Sonic CD HD, which I'll review one day, but not now. There are a lot of concept art and music to unlock here as well, so that's kinda cool. But some of the tracks have been altered specifically for Sonic 3 and Knuckles. I'll talk about that in a bit, but for now, it is time. Dr. Eggman has teamed up with the Red Echidna himself, so let's do this. Let's take on Knuckles! Oh, would you look at that? Hey, there's new cutscenes here, bringing out slight bit more of the story. Something you'd normally need manuals for. Okay. So Sonic crashed the Death Egg in the last game, and it crash lands on Angel Island, home of Knuckles and the Master Emerald. Eggman convinces Knuckles that Sonic is hunting the Emerald as a bad guy, so Knuckles joins up with Eggman to stop him. Sonic shows up with Tails on the Tornado at first, an airplane, but Sonic goes super and flies to the island, I guess intending to destroy the Death Egg for good. However, Knuckles intercepts Sonic with an uppercut and steals the Chaos Emeralds, hiding them all over the island. It is up to Sonic and or Tails to stop Dr. Eggman from using the Chaos Emeralds and the Master Emerald for evil purposes, and teach Knuckles who's the real good guys here. However, Knuckles is a different story. He ends up fighting a robot who seems to think it's Dr. Eggman. Robot's smart too. Knuckles' story ends with a fight with Mecha Sonic, oddly enough, a detail that Sonic's story that you can see, as Mecha Sonic isn't completely destroyed after fighting Sonic. Sonic's story, though, man, he fights Eggman outside of the Death Egg, and the damn thing crashes again thanks to Eggman's fight being too much. Then Sonic has to try and board it again before it launches again. And he fights Knuckles and even has to save the Master Emerald from Dr. Eggman in the end. It's around here that Knuckles and Sonic kind of become friends. Somewhat rivals, but friends regardless, as it is very clear that Sonic is the hero and not Dr. Eggman. Wow, what a story for a 16-bit 2D platformer. But overall, I kind of like it. It's simple enough but dire enough to motivate the player for sure. So let me start off the charm section of this in the presentation by saying that the music isn't terrible. Angel Island Zone is a decent track when starting out, but then things change a bit from the original release. I was wondering why Knuckles' music sounded so alien to me. They changed the track entirely. The original was so much better. Angel Island Act 2 is the same and still pretty good. Hydrocity sounds the same and is still very good overall. Okay, yeah, let's go. Carnival Nights got changed, but it seems like this is the only big change that may have been an improvement. I didn't care for the original here. Oh, never mind. The second act sounds awful. Ice Cap sounds good, but the original track was so much better that I'm kind of bitter about it. Launch Base is another example of this. Not bad, but the original is so much better, it kind of hurts. What is up with the Sonic 3 side of the OST here? So, come to find out, this is all because of Michael Jackson. Yeah, I'm not joking. Michael Jackson, from pop fame, was originally helping compose some of the tracks that we know and love. Apparently, the original tracks are what we're hearing now, but MJ helped produce tracks later in development, which is what we heard on the Genesis, game cards. Say what you want about MJ's controversies, but his music in Sonic 3 was pretty damn good regardless. Sonic and Knuckles' side of things, though, pretty much remains unchanged. Mushroom Forest has an okay track, Flying Battery Zone has an amazing track, and Sandopolis sounds fine, but may I add Sandopolis looks really good? Lava Reef has some amazing tracks, Death Egg Zone is not bad, and Sky Sanctuary was okay music-wise. Honestly, both sides of the game have some pretty impressive music, and while I may not be as nostalgic for it like Sonic 1 or Sonic 2, it still has more hits than misses. As mentioned before, the game looks amazing as well. Sandopolis looks really cool, but none of the other levels are slouches here on appearance. There's a lot of cool backgrounds that are really dynamic. It's amazing. Like, check out Lava Reef here. You can see the Death Egg in the background. Also, might I add that Knuckles is more expressive, and hell, Sonic's sprite got an upgrade even too. That's really fantastic, and the sound? Ooh. Classic Sonic music at its best. It might not be my favorite classic Sonic track or OST overall, but it's still really good. Very impressive. Very, very impressive on the charm. As for the gameplay, there's not a whole lot different here. Sonic basically plays the same as he did in Sonic 2. He jumps into a ball, you can gain momentum rolling down hills, and so on. Sonic's new moves are kind of neat though. He has an insta-shield-like move that allows you to, do a bit of extra damage in your jump attacks, and it's more helpful than you might think. Sonic can also get elemental shields now too. These range from bubble, fire, and electric. The bubble one gives you infinite air, which is totally awesome. It also has a weird bounce attack. The fire one makes you immune to lava and fire, as well as a dash attack in the air. Electric is awesome too. It makes you immune to electric hazards, which really only show up about once or twice, but it also attracts rings and gives you a bit of an extra jump. That's awesome. Tails is now playable outside of being near Sonic, which is also amazing. He can swim and fly, which makes him easier to play if you're not used to the game. Nice. Knuckles is playable too, and he can glide and climb up walls, but he also ends up in alternate routes. Overall, all three characters are really fun to play. It is nice that, while the core gameplay hasn't changed, adding new characters and moves makes the game far more dynamic than the other classic Sonic titles. However, all of this does come at a bit of a cost. While there isn't anything seriously wrong with the levels, they just don't feel like Sonic. Oftentimes the levels are more traditional over the speed-based gameplay that we've come to know and love. Sandopolis can be seen as a really big example of this. There are good level ideas and designs here, but outside of beating out a timer or two, nothing in the level is really all that speed-based. Not all the levels are like this, however. Lava Reef and Mushroom Forest have a mix of normal platforming mixed with the speed assets after all. It's just that a lot of the game is more platform, less speed, losing a lot of what made Sonic 2 super fun, and Sonic unique in general. Let's just put it this way. Sonic 2 is often considered to be the best Sonic game of all time. Sonic 3 and Knuckles is considered to be the best game that happens to have Sonic in it. Does that make sense? Sonic 3 and Knuckles just leans into being a fantastic platformer in level designs, but somewhat diminishes what made Sonic incredibly unique at the time. Honestly though, I enjoyed all of the levels here. Hydrocity, or Hydro City, whatever you want to go, is much faster and more fun than Labyrinth Zone ever was, but it still has water everywhere. Carnival Night Zone is the typical casino level, and Ice Cap is very pretty, but while they don't have a lot of new, they're still fun and refined. Sky Sanctuary has some speed into it, and the Death Egg has some anti-gravity, but is still overall pretty fun to play. The boss fights are pretty decent as well. Each zone has some type of boss and mid-boss, making each act of the zone feel unique. The boss fights aren't bad, but some are more memorable than others, like the Egg Inferno from Lava Wreath. The Egg Hanger was pretty interesting as well, but difficult. The Egg Cannon from the first part of the game is also pretty fun. The final bosses are really good though too. The first part, is Sonic 3, ends with an egg rocket and Big Arms, both of which are awesome boss fights. In the original combined game, Big Arms wasn't actually fightable. You could only challenge him in Sonic 3 proper, but they fixed that here in the Origins collection, so that's kinda nice. As for the giant Eggman Robo, this thing took me a while to understand and fight, but man was it fun. Super good boss fight. Overall, while not as super speed as other Sonic games, these levels and bosses are amazing to go through and defeat. So obviously there are hidden shields and goodies everywhere, as well as hidden lives, though the anniversary mode in Origins changes them to big coins. The biggest secrets are that you can enter bonus games while passing checkpoints. A gotcha machine, a race, and a casino machine, all for rings and shields. Then there's the Chaos Emeralds. I did manage to actually get a few of these. But of course, if you get them all, you can get Supersonic, and in this game's case, Hypersonic. Hypersonic is like Super, but with a few added perks and speed. Tails and Knuckles can be Super in the game too. To do this, you have to find giant rings, enter them, and you're taken to a special stage. Touch a blue sphere to make it red, avoid all the red ones, and yellow ones help you jump. Turn all the blue spheres red and get a Chaos Emerald. This is also the first console Sonic game to have a secret boss fight for getting all the Chaos Emeralds. Yeah, it's a not bad boss fight by any means. I enjoyed it. It's pretty cool, overall. And before you ask, no, I didn't get all the Chaos Emeralds with both Tails and Knuckles, okay? Yeah, I know, I'm kind of being lazy on the whole thing. Look, I suck at blue spheres. I had to do a cheat code just to get Sonic as a super form. You think I'm gonna go back and get Tails and Knuckles? Look, at this point in time, I'm just happy that I finally put in the effort to beat this game. It's very fun. It's a great platformer. I see very little flaws in presentation, story, gameplay, level designs, or even the secrets you can find. The game isn't perfect, of course, but damn, this game comes pretty close. The biggest issue is that it's less Sonic and more refined platformer with fast characters. Still though, a masterpiece of a game. This game scores a 10 out of 10 for me and is one of the must-play classic platformers of the 16-bit generation. Get it on the Origins collection or some other way if you can. Just beware of the music changes to some of the versions out there. And sadly, I'm done with classic Sonic by a long shot. Well, kind of. I still have Sonic CD and I obviously still have Knuckles Chaotix to deal with. But yeah, this is the peak of it. Sadly, it's supposed to be kind of all downhill from here, given the next game I'm going to be talking about is Sonic Triple Trouble, and that review should actually come up pretty soon. And next year I'm going to be talking about Sonic CD, which is a decent platformer in itself. I just don't think it reaches quite the highs of Sonic 2 and Sonic 3 and Knuckles. That's all. And then Knuckles Chaotix, and then a bunch of Game Gear games, and yeah, those don't come close to reaching it from what I've heard, but it is what it is. In the meantime, I'm also going to be trying to, play some other games as well, like Crash Bandicoot 2 and Resident Evil 2. Among other games. We'll see how it goes, because sometimes I'm in the mood for certain games and sometimes I'm not. I don't know why, it just kind of gets random lately. But if you liked the video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. This all helps my channel grow. And until next time, my minions, take care. Also, I had a sore throat recording this. I apologize if I sounded kind of weird. So, there's that. Okay. Bye!